Hello everyone, I'm Rebecca Rzuski. I'm Associate Professor at the Library of the Health Sciences, Chicago, and welcome to Selecting Where to Publish. So what I'm going to be covering for this tutorial is a brief overview of open access, also resources that will help you to figure out where to publish. These are resources that are either freely available or through the library. Now I would like to give you an overview of open access. I have this definition up here from SPARC, which stands for the Scholarly Publishing and Academic Resources Coalition. And open access is digital, online, free of charge, and free of most copyright and licensing restrictions. The advantages of open access is that it makes your research have greater visibility. It is also may increase opportunities for you to collaborate. It provides easier access for anyone to get to your research. It's faster than traditional publishing, so instead of you having to wait a year or give or take for an article to come out for publication, the open access article would come out sooner. Now, when I'm talking about this, I'm not endorsing it. I don't want you to think you have to publish all the time in open access or trying to persuade you about it. It's more just to let you know what this is, because this is something that's been fairly recent. Within the last 5 years or so, there's been a movement to get more publications openly available, because since the government and we have taxpayers paying for the research that is being conducted, trying to make it widely available so people can access it. UIC Library has a publishing, scholarly communications, and open access guide that is information about what open access is, authors' rights, initiatives being done to encourage and promote open access, and also some other useful features to know about, such as measuring your impact. I also wanted to mention here that there is a fund, it's called Roy Barope Fund, that will help you to pay for publishing in an open access journal as long as your research isn't covered by a grant. There is more information about this on this page. There are some other useful things on this guide that may be worth taking a look at. This guide was created by my colleague Sandy DeGroot, our scholarly communications librarian. Before I get into the different resources you can use to help you figure out where to publish, I wanted to briefly go over the impact factor. The impact factor is a measure of the frequency with which the average article in a journal has been cited in a year, and it is calculated based on a 2-year period. It divides the number of times articles were cited by the number of articles that are citable. The impact factor is probably the most well-known journal analysis tool, but the impact factor is not always the best way to determine where you should publish. There are several reasons why an impact factor may not be useful. It correlates poorly with actual citations of individual articles. Review articles are heavily cited and may inflate impact factor of journals. Long articles collect many citations and give journals high impact factors. Articles tend to preferentially cite other articles in the same journal. Books are not included in the database as a source for citations. There's also bias towards English language articles. The database is dominated by American publishers, and research fields with literature that rapidly becomes obsolete are favored. But I wanted to let you know that there about some other alternative ways that you can analyze journals, because the impact factor may not actually be the best fit for where you would publish. UIC Library has a guide that has more information on the impact factor and other kinds of metrics that you can use for evaluating journals. There's also additional information on how to measure your own impact. There are a few freely available resources that will help you to figure out where you would like to publish. And this first resource is called JANE, which stands for Journal Author Name Estimator. So I'm going to put in an abstract from an article that I had published a couple years ago. And what I can do is that you put your abstract in, and then you can click Find Journals. So what it will do is it will give you recommendations. Sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off. Sometimes you can get articles this way. You can also look for authors or even look for articles. They also have an option that you can put in keywords, and then you can find your journal options and do some other things too with this. The next resource is available through NARS, which is the Nursing and Allied Health Resources section, and I am a member of the section through the Medical Library Association. They recently came out with a list of selected journals for nursing. This might be a place that you can take a look at. They have a couple hundred journals here and all sorts of information on them. So it will link to author guidelines. It will also give you information on if it's peer-reviewed, how many times it comes out, and also will tell you which databases it's available in. So it will give you an idea of if it's indexed in these databases, so your publications will be more visible. It will tell you if guidelines are published, how many articles are published, if they publish systematic reviews, or which percentage is research. Now I would like to talk about library resources that you can use to evaluate where you would like to publish. Two databases that I'm going to be spending some time in are Scopus and Web of Science. Scopus is over 20,000 journals and is updated daily. The majority of coverage is from 1996 and above. They've been going back and adding additional citations that go back further than that. So it's a much newer database compared to Web of Science, which has been around for several decades. Web of Science is smaller and it does go back further in terms of its coverage, but Scopus has more journals, and I confess I prefer looking up different things in Scopus versus Web of Science because I think Scopus is easier to use. But each one has different coverage so that it can help you to figure out if you've been cited or where to publish. So the fastest way to get to our resources is through the database's A to Z list. And the first resource that I would like to show you is Scopus. On the Scopus homepage, I'm going to click on Compare Sources, and in Scopus, there is a nursing category that I can look at specifically when I do a search. As an example here, let's search for cancer. So I can compare Cancer Nursing Journal. That can be one place I can look. I am also going to search for oncology. Here's some other journals that I selected earlier, and they are showing up on this chart. Now I'm going to briefly go through each of the metrics listed here. The first metric is called Cite Score, which is fairly new in Scopus. Cite Score is the number of citations received by a journal in 1 year to documents published in the last 3 years, divided by the number of documents indexed in Scopus published in those same 3 years. Another metric that is worth knowing about is SCImago. SCImago is kind of like Scopus's version of the impact factor. It is based on the idea that not all citations are created equal. So with SCImago, the subject field quality and reputation of the journal have a direct effect on the value of the citation. What it's doing is it's looking at how it ranks by year over a period of time within these journals. Another metric is SNP, which stands for Source Normalized Impact per Paper. SNP compares the citation impact by sources in different subject field. Is the ratio sources average citation count per paper and the citation potential of the subject field. The citations metric measures the total number of citations received by a journal in the year. Documents looks at the total number of documents published in a journal in a particular year. Percentage not cited looks at the percentage of documents published in the year that have never been cited to date. The last journal comparison tool is the percentage of reviews, which is the percentage of documents published in the journal that are review articles. This may help you if you're trying to publish a review article and if you want to get an idea if the journal is publishing any review articles. Maybe you would have a better chance of getting into that journal. You will also notice with some of these is that you can exclude self-citations. I will also have a handout in Blackboard that will explain all of these journal metrics tools. The other database that you can use is Web of Science. There are a couple ways to use Web of Science to help you to select where you publish. Web of Science are owned by the same company as EndNote, and there's a free version of EndNote that is available through Web of Science. It doesn't have everything the desktop version has, but you can do some of the basic things that you would need to do, like creating bibliographies, organizing your citations, things like that. So you have to have an account in order to get into this. And they have this feature in the online version of EndNote called Match. And what Match will do is you would put in the title of your manuscript, the abstract, or you could even select references if you're using it, and then it will find journals that it thinks would be good places for you to look at for publishing. So this is one way to use Web of Science to figure out where you need to publish. Another way is to go through the Web of Science homepage, is the Journal Citation Report. This version of Journal Citation Reports, called Insights, allows you to do really in-depth analysis. This is Web of Science's Comparing Journals feature. Quartile comparisons enable users to compare various quartile ranks from metrics for chosen journals within a given subject category. You can see how each journal ranks within a given quartile compared with other journals of your choosing, as long as each is categorized within the same subject. The ability to select multiple quartile metrics simultaneously allows for a comprehensive view of how each journal ranks within metrics for a given year. I'm going to show you how to use the Trends feature. So let's say I'm going to compare a couple journals here. And then I'm going to select one of the years. So then it'll give me little sites here, and then I can select the metric that I am interested in, then submit. There are several journal metrics that you can use in Web of Science. There's the journal impact factor, which I talked about earlier. You can also look at the impact factor without self-citations being included, and also the 5-year impact factor and the JIF, or Journal Impact Factor quartile. There are other journal evaluation tools that you can use within Web of Science that are listed here. They will be on your handout because I think they take a little while to wrap your mind around, so I put those in the handout. Overall, I think that Web of Science's journal citation tools are a little more difficult to understand than Scopus. If you have any questions, you can contact me or my colleague, Sandy D. Groot, our Scholarly Communications Librarian. Thank you.